By the end of this video, you're going to learn how to code a website from scratch using AI. And this is going to be perfect if you're a business owner, you're a freelancer, or you want to have some work up like on a portfolio or something. We're going to learn how to use AI-assisted coding tools. So that means we're going to learn how to set up your computer exactly perfectly to do AI-assisted coding. We're going to register a domain name, and we're going to automate the deployment of website code onto our hosting provider. So this is going to be from complete beginner up until taking you to the point where you're making modifications to your website, pushing changes live, essentially just being a web developer. And I recently did this for my wife, who's an author, and it cost us £1.19 to host the website for an entire year. And you can see what you can build using this approach at zoemayan.com. And compare that to website builders like Wix or Squarespace or Webflow, where you typically pay around £300 a year. And then you don't have to build the website as well using their tools. It can be frustrating, so most people end up hiring a freelancer or an agency, and at that point the cost can spiral into the thousands or tens of thousands. The approach that we're going to take, we're not going to use proprietary tools, we're going to use real code, and the benefit of doing that is that you have full ownership over that code base, and you have full ownership over the domain name. And another benefit is that the AI models, as of writing today, are amazing at writing website code. And so this is where Wix is really being hamstrung by AI, is that all of their tools are proprietary, whereas we're going to use open technologies. And so that the AI will be, as that improves, we'll be able to benefit from that too in our websites. We're going to build a static website, which is perfect for blogs, content heavy sites, marketing websites, and portfolios or promotional websites. It's important to note that this isn't really the right choice if you want to make an e-commerce site, but it's more than adequate if you want to have a landing page for your products and then you link out to, let's say, Amazon or Eventbrite or Gumroad, I think it's called, where you actually do the transaction. And that's how zoemayan.com is doing it, and it's a really nice hub. I've given my wife a bit of training on how to modify the website, and she's completely non-technical, and she's just quite happy with making the modifications by herself, using the AI tooling, chatting to the thing, and it's this nice little her storefront that she completely owns, and no one can take that away from her. No one can do a price hike and then suddenly have the monthly fee jump up, or no one can kind of go bust and then she's left without a website. Now let's get into the setup. I'm providing this handy worksheet. This is going to be typed up nicely by the time I upload this video, and it'll have a step-by-step instructions on what you need to follow. So first thing we want to do is install anti-gravity, which is available for all the platforms out there, Mac, Windows, Linux. And then we can install Node.js, and Node.js is like the engine that runs a lot of the web tooling out there today. Next, we're going to create some accounts. So we need a Google account for the AI, and then you might as well log in with Google. It's just my suggestion. Log in with Google for Cloudflare and GitHub. Just simplifies the process. You don't have to. You can use your email address and create email and password. And then we're going to buy the domain name. So that's a point where I'm going to jump into this tutorial and show you how I'm going to do that. So first, I'm going to use a website called FastHosts. And the reason being is because it is super cheap. Now, I've already Zoemayan Books. She's going to get two websites out of me. I mean, zoemayanbooks.com is available. Wonderful. And now I'm going to add that to basket and then check out. Okay, just register the domain. You don't need Domain Guard because we're transferring over to Cloudflare, which includes it for free. But yeah, we're going to buy this, our domain name, and now that's ours. We have it for a year, and I've already got an account, so I'm going to log in. I've bought the domain name, and now I can go to this button here that says Manage Your Domains. And at this point, I can open up Cloudflare, and if you've already created your account, you can log in. If not, create your account. And then once you've logged in, we can go into Domains, and then Transfers. So there's a lot going on in Cloudflare. It's a very powerful platform, but we're going to use just a little bit of it. And I like it because it's free, and it's a very generous free tier. So I'm on the domain. So what I did was I clicked on domains and then transfers. If you don't have this interface, or for whatever reason it's changed by the time you're watching this, perhaps do a quick search and go to domains. And then even if it shows transfers, then perfect. If it just shows domains, go into domains and then select transfers. Now, I want you to click on onboard a domain. And then we're going to type in that domain name we just bought. So it's going to be so simple. And here we have the instructions for how we want to block AI bots. I actually want to allow a bot to scrape my content. And then on this page, we are going to select the free plan. So at this point, we've only paid £1.20 and we have the domain name. And this means that the domain will be under our control. And then it's going to say the domain is almost ready, continue to activation. And then it's going to say what we need to do is go back into FastHost and sort of like release it so that Cloudflare can have ownership over it. And that involves replacing the name server. So if we go copy that first bit here and then selecting the domain we bought and then going into name servers, allow us to specify our own name servers. And we've pasted that name server into the first field. And we're going to go here and then paste that into the second field. And then it has instructed us to delete other name servers. And what that will do will allow us to control that domain from Cloudflare. And that will be apparent later on. And then I can click on, so make sure DNSSEC is off. Remember that domain guard, that we didn't buy that. So Cloudflare doesn't want that on. And then I can click on, I've updated my name servers. And this stage, it says it can wake up to 24 hours for the kind of the domain and name servers to update. In my experience, it goes through fairly quickly. Maybe you'll be at most 20 minutes. It's even quicker than that. But we don't need to be concerned with that right now because we are now going to create the websites. We're going to actually vibe code it. And I wanted you to, in the setup, you should have installed anti-gravity. And so we can open that up now. I just did Command Space and then type in anti-gravity. On Windows, you probably can hit the Windows key and type in anti-gravity and you'll see it. Or if you remember where you saved it, then you can see it there. When you first open up anti-gravity, you'll see an interface that looks like this. I want you to click on Open Agent Manager. Don't click anywhere else. Click on Open Agent Manager. Yeah, you probably notice this is going to be empty. But what we're going to do now is create a new workspace. And a workspace is simply a folder. And that folder is where your code is going to live. So we're going to add a new folder. Click on that plus button here. I'm going to add a new folder. And I'm going to create a new folder. And I'm going to call this folder after the website. So zoemayanbooks.com. And then open that folder. And at this point, you can see this chat window, which is very similar to ChatGPT or Gemini, except this is going to be used for writing code. Now, it's important that you follow these instructions quite carefully. First, I want you to select planning. And then at the time of writing, the latest Gemini model is 3.1 Pro. It most likely will follow this kind of naming convention of high and low. Low is more than adequate for building websites. So let's stick with low. And then I will start to build a website. Now, a website I'm building is for an author, Zoe, who has books on Amazon. And so giving that information over to the agent is going to help it know what to build. All right, we can provide it with book titles, we can provide it with book covers, we can provide it with a whole bunch of stuff like even reviews and synopses. If you're a photographer, for example, you want to show your photos, then you could add those files in. The way we're going to do this is actually, we're not going to provide them now. We're going to tell the agent that we have that information and kind of to reserve some space for those assets, for those images. When I say assets, I mean images and like text, but mostly images and videos. I'm going to use quite a simple, I'm going to give it a role. So you are a senior web designer and web conversion specialist. I'll create a website for the author, Zoe Mayan. I believe she has 4 books on Amazon, and I will provide links, descriptions, and book cover images. I will also provide the author bio and headshot image. And then I'm going to say the features are one of this website. Website features, homepage. Hero section should display the most current book. Make this configurable. Then what I did with double space to kind of indent. Hero section, and then after the fold, let's use kind of simpler language. And then below are the other books. They should each take roughly full height of the browser and full width. I would like an about page, author bio, and image. If I just simply did enter, then I would be sending the chats. But if I did shift enter, then it gives me a new line. And then blog. Write a sample blog entitled How to Spot a Liar. She writes psychological thrillers and mysteries, so it's quite apt to her. Write a sample blog entitled so that the mechanism for adding additional blog content is in place. And then I will kind of design. I will say in bullet points, the stars kind of are what I'd use for bullet points. For design, minimalist, typical of author websites. So he writes cozy mysteries. So it's something slightly atmospheric, but not over the top. So you can see, this was talking to the agent or the AI as if I have a chat with a web designer, an actual web designer. So I wanted to give it as much information as possible, but it's not, I mean, even if we miss something out, we are in planning mode. So make sure you're in planning mode, because before it goes off and build, it's going to show you a plan. So let's send that off. And then we have a chance to catch any potential issues or things we might have missed. But even if we have missed something, it's still possible to keep adding. Probably the most important part of the plan is that we use a framework called Astro.js, because that is the perfect fit for the kind of website we're building, the static website that I mentioned. And then let's see if it has actually chosen that. Okay, I'm not going to bore you by reading all of this, but I will add a review and say, use Astro.js. So somewhere inside your plan or in your initial prompt, I want you to add that to say use Astro.js. Now it looks like it's going to go off and build. Right, that's going to spin. It's going to go on for a while, actually. That might take up to anywhere between 5 to 10 minutes. And so we're going to come back when that has completed. Okay, we are done, finally. How long did that take? That was, do we have a time? No time. No clocks in the casino. But if we want to preview it, I mean, this sentence here tells us everything, but we're impatient. We're not going to read that. I'm going to tell you what you need to do. You go to these three dots right here, and then go to toggle terminal. And then once you have that up, you can say npm run dev, which makes no sense to you. But what that's doing is it's starting the development server. And then you can take this localhost 4321, go to your favorite web browser, start a new tab or use the existing tab. And then you can see the website that has been created. And it is quite a lovely website, actually. Okay, and it's got the blog. It has the books. It's got the books twice. Don't think we need that. Okay, this is nice. This is very nice. And then if I go back to that, here's something actually that is important. I can pull this down. It goes next steps. To finalize the website, I just need your specific content. Please provide. And then, so I'm going to provide that. I will provide the links, the descriptions, subtitles, and book cover images. All right, so I want to supply the images. So I want to supply all this information. You can see, and I'm quite happy with this website, albeit is using placeholder images and links. Yeah, right. Yeah, these links aren't working. And so I need to provide that to the agent, and I will simply create a folder. So if we remember where we did it, I called it zoemayanbooks.com. And inside here, I am going to, just to differentiate, use an underscore, I'm going to call it source, and it'll be up here. All right. And then I'm going to supply all the book information. So if you're a photographer, you supply the photography. I am going to just go to Amazon and type into Zoe Mayan, because her books are up online. And so here I can grab this. Actually, Zoe sent me some high quality images somewhere. I will need to find out where those are. I have now got those images. So you can see I've got the book cover, No One Leaves Red Gables, the Paradise Trap, got the tour group, and I've got What Happened to Amelia, and I've got Zoe's beautiful mugshot, headshot, whatever they're called. And these are named quite nicely, so I can therefore get the links. So I'm gonna grab this, the Paradise Trap, because I don't want all this other advertising stuff after it. Oh yeah, by the way, if you wanted just the pure Amazon link, is everything before the ref. So we'll go here, and all the other stuff is like the tracking and like how you got to that website. This will be the cleanest link. I will say, okay, book 1, Paradise Trap, Amazon link, description. Just copy it from Amazon. Just the first 3 sentences. I'm going to say you can find the book covers inside source. They're named similar to the book title. Book 1, I'm going to say book 2, No One Leaves Red Gables. Again, Amazon link. No One Leaves Red Gables. Amazon link. And then description. Just take this sentence here. Yeah, I'm going to skip this ahead. Let's leave it at that, and I'm going to send, and hopefully it will figure out the name of the book with the images that I provide. Oh, I'll also need to give the author bio as well. Add the author bio. I'll take it from Amazon too. So mystery, author bio. I'll give a few lines to separate. You'll find a photo in the source folder. And I can actually, yeah, I can queue that up. So once that's all running, I can show you a little bit of behind the scenes in that, because we're coding up a real website, but at this point, we haven't seen any code. And in order to see the code behind, you can go to the top right and click on Open Editor. So it's going to open the code editor for this website. And we can see here on the left-hand side, we're going to see this thing, which is a file explorer. You can see if I collapse everything, you can see that this mimics the file structure that we might see in File Explorer if you're on Windows, or Finder if you're on a Mac. And you've got these various folders. And most web projects are going to be set up like this. There's going to be some files that just live here just to kind of tell you how to install certain dependencies. And then inside this src folder, kind of source, you see the actual code. You've got pages, got layouts. And it's going to look a little bit foreign to begin with. But there's really low need with a website like this, with a project like this. There's very low need to actually edit things by hand. We can use the agent chat to simply have a conversation and use it as if we're chatting to a web developer. I want to go back to the agent manager to see if we're done here. And yes, the thing is done. I will go back to the website and I can see that it has updated, and it's got links to buy on Amazon and read excerpt. And it's got all the links are working. Okay, that link doesn't work. This link, the Paradise Trap, links through. No One Leaves Red Gables. The tour group, that links through. And then this doesn't. Okay, this is perfect because this is a great time to fix a bug. And we're going to, again, use the agent chat to fix a bug. And whilst we can have a chat here, it's also more than possible to have a chat inside the editor as well. So when we're inside the agent manager, we can also go inside the editor to chat here. And we can simply say, what I'm going to do is go to Amazon again and get the link properly. So Alt-Tab, go into Amazon. And was it no one, which book was it? Is What Happened to Amelia? What Happened to Amelia? This book, I didn't provide a link. And there's a bug. So, okay, there's an issue. What happened to Amelia link, Amazon link, is broken. Please replace with. So now we're chatting inside the agent manager, and we can close down a few of these to kind of reduce the clutter. Or we can use the short key. If clicking now is a bit cumbersome, we can use short key Control W on Windows or Command W. Because we're now in kind of like bug fixing and making quick edits, there's no need to be in planning mode anymore. I don't want to have to plan things out so thoroughly. I can switch this to fast, and that's just going to go ahead and make those changes. It's going to ask me if I want to accept those changes, and I will happily accept them because so far I've been really impressed with Gemini 3.1. Okay, it's finished. It's just me, I'm talking too much. A refresh, a Command R or Control R to refresh, and then buy on Amazon, and that link has been fixed. Wonderful. Okay, now, so we are at the point where we have a website and we can continue chatting. We can say, I'd rather have a different font. You can be a bit more specific and say which font you want. You can say you wanted a sans serif font throughout. Replace Zoe Mayen with a different type of font, like if you knew the name of this font, oh, that is sweet. It's added a bit of interactivity. I didn't know that. Built with love, built with AI. We're ready to put this on the zoemayenbooks.com address, and it's going to be so simple. This is like the missing manual. This is the bit that those website builders like Wix and Squarespace, that's what they charge a premium for. But we can see by paying £1.20 for the entire year, we've gone from nothing to having a website online for an entire year. And the subsequent years will be probably like £15 without the introductory offer. And so the way we do this is a few steps. First, remember I told you to create that GitHub account? Well, that's going to come in handy now because we're going to go on the left-hand side and go to source control. And then we see here that the folder currently open doesn't have a Git repository. And if that means nothing to you, you just can click on initialize repository first. And then it's going to ask you to give it a commit message. So this is like we're saving a snapshot of the code, and which is really nice, right? It gives you peace of mind. At this point, we're saving it. So if we completely ruin everything, we delete everything, we can revert back to it, but we're not going to delete everything. And it's going to ask you for a message. So like, what do you want to call this particular snapshot? There's a little cheat. We can just say generate. We don't even have to lift the finger. It's going to generate the message for us. And it's going to be better than anything I could come up with. And initialize Zoe Mayen books. Okay, I'm happy with that. Right, I've initialized the repository, I've made my first commit, and now it's time to publish it to GitHub. That's where the button I pressed if you missed it. I click on publish branch, and now it's going to ask me to sign in with GitHub. And what is going to happen is that I'm going to click that, and then a window's going to pop open, and it's going to ask me to authorize. Well, first it's going to ask me to sign in, and then it's going to ask me for this code. Then it's going to ask me if I want to authorize Anti-Gravity to have access to my GitHub account. If you've just created your GitHub account, feel free to just hit authorize Google Anti-Gravity. You won't have any of this stuff here. It's because I'm part of multiple organizations like through work and my own businesses. Now I'm going to use my password. Type in my password. And great. And now it's probably going to ask me to go back to Anti-Gravity. I'm going to alt tab back to Anti-Gravity. Okay, perfect. And at this point, it's presented an option. So I can publish to GitHub as a private repository to this path here, and I'm going to accept that. And it successfully published it. Wonderful. I sometimes, when I record these tutorials, I actually want a problem to happen so that I can preempt it and then go through it. If you did have a problem, it most likely will be with the repositories that you granted. It didn't have the right authorization. So perhaps even re-log in and then go through that authentication flow again, and then that should sort it out. But hopefully you didn't have any issues. This is now being pushed to your GitHub account. So let's alt tab into your GitHub account. I can reuse this tab. And then you will see, if you've just created one, you won't see so many projects, but because I have so many, I will use this to filter, and I can see Zoe Mayen Books has been created. And this is important to live here because it's now on the cloud, if you will. And because it's on the cloud, it can be accessed by other services. And that other service, can you guess which one it is going to be Cloudflare. So now we're going to go back into Cloudflare, which I have this tab open here. And then I am going to search for pages. So it will be under build, compute, workers, and pages. If you want to kind of navigate there without the quick search, you can go to build, compute, workers, and pages. And then we're going to create an application. And the interface has changed a little bit because there used to be an option where you could create a page or you can create a worker. Now it always defaults to creating a worker. And then there's a little subtle instruction link down here. It's looking to deploy pages, and that's what we're after. We're looking to deploy a page. And so we click on that to get started. And then we import an existing Git repository to get started. And at this point, it's going to ask me to log in. But because I've logged in already, it's saved my credentials. But it's the same flow, right? It's going to say add account. Oh yeah, you're going to click add account. and then it will redirect to GitHub, and then it's going to say, what do you want to add? And it's going to, you select the one you added, the account that you created for this tutorial. I already have it there. So I'm going to select my username there, and then, okay. So Zoe Mayan Books is not appearing. And the way to fix that is if you go to add account and then go to configure. I have only allowed it this repository access. So look for repository access and then search for Zoe Mayan Books or whatever you called it. And now save. And this will give Cloudflare access to that repository. I'm on a need to know basis. So I'm going to select Zoe Mayan Books, begin setup. I'm going to leave this where it is. And then the framework, I'm going to select Astro. And I leave everything as the default. And then hit save and deploy. Previously, there was another option, which is to simply drag and drop files to upload. And whilst you can do that, that means that every time you make a change, you need to go through the whole process of building to begin with, and then dragging and dropping. This process here is called continuous deployment. So you might have heard of CI and CD. This is the CD side of things, continuous deployment, where when you push to GitHub, a worker, like a machine, builds your project into the HTML, CSS, and JavaScript files, and then it deploys it. So continuous deployment. And you can see here, you can preview your project at zoemayanbooks-com.pages.dev. And is online. We can actually share this URL around. I can give this to my mum, my dad, my wife to look around, and then she will see this website. But it's not zoemayanbooks.com. And there's one final step to get there. We go back to Cloudflare. In the success project, scroll down and continue to project. And I want you to click on custom domains. And then set up a custom domain. And you know how previously we transferred the domain. This is where it comes into play. I can simply type in zoemayanbooks.com. And because it's transferred under the ownership of my Cloudflare account, it's as simple as clicking activate domain. Now that's going to take a while, a few minutes to set up. Okay, we are now active, and this is the really exciting part because I believe I can copy that, zoemayanbooks.com, paste that into, and we have zoemayanbooks.com live. This is our code. No one can take it away from us. This is our shopfront on the internet, and I can make changes, and there's a blog up here. I mean, how to spot a liar, that can all be done. I can go back to, and I want to show you the power of the setup, because let's go back to anti-gravity and then go to this chat here. And I'm going to be in fast mode. I'm going to say, write me another blog. In title, what would be something that Zoe would write? She'd probably write 5 books to read if you're fearless this summer. I don't know, she probably wouldn't write something like that. Which goes to show why I'm not a writer, why I'm a coder, and why she's the writer. But what I'm going to show you is that I can make a change on my computer to the code. I can commit it. I can push it to GitHub. Cloudflare will automatically build it, and it will show up on the website. We're going to make the change. I'm going to commit it. I'm going to sync, which means publish it to GitHub. GitHub is going to receive it. Now Cloudflare, if I go into Cloudflare and go to the workers and select Zoe Mayan Books, I will see that, a change has been picked up and it's going to be in progress. That means in progress to being deployed. And once that has complete, I can head over to Zoe Mayan Books. I'm going to wait for that to finish. You know here that we've got automatic deployments enabled, and it's going to, maybe I can look at details, be a bit nosy here. You can see all the building that's happened. Oh, your site was deployed. And I go back to zoemayanbooks.com, refresh, and this is live on the internet. Right, I can go on my phone, I can go on my mum's laptop, I can go on my wife's laptop and see the change I just made has been pushed into the internet, which is, I don't know, this is thrilling to me. I love that. I have full control over the source code. All the code is here. No one can take that away from me. It belongs to me. And I'm hosting it for £1.20. So to recap, we've installed the tools on our computers to get it set up for AI assisted coding. We've then created the accounts, the Google account, the Cloudflare and GitHub accounts to get our code up online. We've also bought a domain name and transferred it to Cloudflare. And now we have automated deployments running so that we can make a change on our computer, push it to GitHub, and it's going to show within minutes on the .com address. So I really hope you found this video useful. And if I've missed anything or if you've got stuck somewhere, please ask in the comments below. I'm going to go in there personally and answer every single question. So go ahead, make your websites, cancel your expensive website builder subscriptions, and I cannot wait to see what you build. Show me what you build in the comments and promote yourselves. Thanks. Until the next one.